man enough for the ukulele. Morning, YouTube. Hi. How you doing? Nice to see you here, UkuleleRocks. Although I can't do this today. Oh, I'd love to be sponsored. Have you seen? I've got Southern Ukulele Store sponsored, but I wish. Can you imagine being sponsored by the Southern Ukulele Store? It'd be wonderful, wouldn't it? Anyhow, welcome. Welcome to 12 Bar Blues Plus. And today's a repeat of Tuesday. So if you're with us on Tuesday, wonderful. You get a second chance at it. I hope you've managed to go and get online and perhaps download the 2 worksheets that go with today's workshop. It might make it a bit easier, but I'm going to try and help you out with that as it is. You might see over my left shoulder, kind of that way, that I've got one of the screens which is kind of set up. I know it's a bit of a weird angle, but if you turn it anymore and you get a load of screen glare off it. So I've kind of left it just looking a little bit like that, which I'm going to keep scrolling up, and there'll be some stuff on there that you can follow as well. So I hope you got your ukuleles and make sure they're in tune. If you're with us playing today, you're very welcome. If you're with us just watching today and listening, you're also very welcome. So there we go. Nice and sounding in tune. I've got a bit of a change of instrument today. This is the instrument I record the most on. It's battered. It is battered. We were busy talking about battering instruments the other night. But yes, it is. And I think it's really good. And they're still available. This is a Macala tenor ukulele. And they're remarkably cheap. I think they're around 60 to 70 pounds, brand new at the moment. Really good. Really, really like them. This is the second one I've had, I think. Second. Helps if you've got decent strings. These have got Aquila Lava strings on. Lava strings I find are a little bit softer. They're very nice. And plus, they come in this shiny, funky sort of grey-blue colour, which is, I know you can't tell from there, but which is good. I mean, I like it, but when we're doing these things, sometimes it's better with my Aquila Nile Guts with the white strings. It's easier to see. But anyhow, enough talk is cheap. Let's put my teeth back in. Let's get going, shall we? We're going to start off with our 12-bar blues today. We're going to make some progressions through it. We're going to start with a basic pattern in the key of C. So we need chords 1. I always do it this way around, don't I? Chord 1. It just seems that your thumb should be 1. Chord 4 and chord 5. That's how we make up the 12-bar blues. So in the key of C, we have C, D, E, F, and G, or G7 in our case today. So we're going to start with the basic chords. Then I'm going to show you how we can change those chords to make it sound a little bit more interesting, perhaps. And then we're going to go on to a shuffle. We're going to go on to show that good old sort of status quo blues shuffle feel to it. We're going to have a look at that. Then we're going to have a look at runs and how you can connect chords up. Instead of just changing from one chord to another chord, we're going to connect them up with these bluesy style runs. And then finally, we're going to try and put it all together with a shuffle and the runs and the backing tracks all together. So it's a challenge today. It's a good challenge. It's very achievable. So let's dive straight in, shall we? Let's have a look at the basic 12-bar first. We need 3 chords. We need a chord of C, which is our 1, 2, 3, all on the A string. A chord of F, which is our first finger on the second string, second finger on the 4th string. I'm flying through these. I'm kind of presuming you know C, F, and G7 at the moment. Our G7 we spoke of is our first finger retained, on more about that later, on the second string, second finger on the 3rd string, and our 3rd finger on the 1st string in the 2nd fret. G7, and you may notice there's a sneaky C7 in there. C7's great in blues, especially when we're playing in the key of C, because sometimes we can use it as a transitioning chord, a way of getting from the chord of C to the chord of F, but also it's quite good at the end of a blues to do that tremolo kind of 7th feel at the end. All right, so let's get going. And to do it, we're going to do nothing more complicated than we're going to play each chord once every 4 beats. So we're going to go 1, 2, a 3, a 4, or 1, 2, a 3, a what? And to make it a bit more interesting, I'm going to put the backing track on. It's a simple backing track. It's got a swing beat, a bit too much cymbals in it for my liking, but never mind. And it's got a bass line in it. That's all we need for the moment. Usual quick morning. Good morning, Roger. Nice to see you. Do check in, leave a comment if you're watching, and I'll give you a quick shout out. And as always, do have a listen to it, please. If it sounds a bit unbalanced, if the backing track's too loud, too quiet, I had a bit of a change of location of microphone this morning, so it might sound a little bit strange. It seems all right. Meters are okay. Let's get on with it. Chord of C. Ready? And 2, 3, 4. C7 now. Back to F. F again. Change to C. G7, good luck. F. C. And there we go. Our very basic 12 bar. Let's just do that once more, straight round again, just for a bit of enjoyment. Here we go. Chord of C. There we go. So that's our very, very basic 12 bar. So our first progression is we're going to change those basic chords. And I'm just going to scroll. Oh, no, wrong screen, wrong screen. I'm going to scroll up the screen a little bit. And here we go. Oh, I like this. Are you ready? 9 bar blues. It's good, isn't it? It's a bit big and it's... I just sit here amusing myself. Hang on a minute. There we go. How's that? Now, oh, not quite. A bit more. There we go. Now we've got 12 bar blues. I like that joke. I thought it was good. So now what we're going to do is we're going to change all our chords into 7th chords. So instead of C, we're going to use C7, which is our first finger, first string, first space. Instead of F, we're going to use F7. So make your basic F chord and then drop your 3rd finger onto the 3rd string in the 3rd space. F7. We're going to keep our G7 as normal. Okay? So let's have a quick go through with that. You can see it on the screen behind me. Perhaps you've got it on your page if you've downloaded the sheet as well. We'll have a go through with the backing track again, because again, this is not too bad. Not too bad. C7. 3, C7. And again. Again. Last time. F7. So, and again. Back to C7. G7. F7. C7. Okay, not too much of a challenge. A few little things in there. I've got to admit, I do this a lot. When I'm doing the more complicated chords, I'll set up the basic chord and then drop in the extra finger. So for F7, perhaps set up your F and then drop in your 3rd finger to make that 7th. To go from C7, you can put all your fingers down at once if you like to make F7. That's a little bit more complicated. I found myself doing this the other day. I had to play F minor 7. Well, F minor is a horrendous chord at the best of times, involving your little finger. But F minor 7 also needs that 3rd finger on the 3rd fret again. And I found myself applying that technique where I got the F7, the F minor that I felt confident with, then dropped my 3rd finger in. So if you're struggling with F7 a little bit, put the F chord down first, drop your 3rd finger on to make the 7th. Let's have one more go at that. Just the basic 7th chords. F7. back to C7. G7, F7, C7. And there we go. So there are basic chords, and that's just a little bit way of just making it a bit more interesting to change them from the C's to the sevenths, just to get that more bluesy kind of feel to it. Just checking in. Good morning, Andrea. Thank you very much. Now enjoying the live stream. Well, that'll change. Don't worry about it. That'll change. But nice of you to join us. Thank you very much. So now we're going to move on to our third progression with our live stream this morning with our 12-bar blues, the shuffle. Now, the shuffle is really anything that goes on underneath that basic chord. And I said this on Tuesday, there's lots of different ways to play a 12-bar blues. There's lots of different ways to shuffle. What we're going to do is we're going to do one way, but there are other ways, and we'll go through those maybe a little bit later. The shuffle we're going to do is called a 5-6 shuffle. In other words, we're going to use the 5th and 6th notes to shuffle between to give that kind of bluesy, rocky shuffle feel. Now, we're going to replace one of the chords as well, two of the chords, sorry. We're going to replace two of the chords. So instead of playing a C or a C7, we're going to play a new chord called C5. Now, C5 is normally played, your standard chord of C, and your second finger on the second string in the third space, C5. And fifth chords are without a third of the scale. So in other words, they're not as pretty. They don't sound as... They're a bit harsher. Guitarists have the same theory. They're called power chords when guitarists do it. And most of rock music, heavy rock music's made up using these chords. They get rid of the pretty sounding third, and it just sounds a bit harsh, a bit harder for us. For us, we're going to make this C5 chord, and we're going to do what we call a half bar. And we're going to put our first finger in the third fret, and we're going to cover just two of the strings. Now, if we did a full bar, our first finger would cover all four strings, but we're just going to cover two of them. So let's just try that first of all. Find that first finger covering the two strings at the third fret. And it should be making quite a... It's not hard to do a half bar, really. Make sure your thumb's nicely behind, pinching behind that bar, and you'll get a good pressure on the strings. Now, to do the shuffle, the note we're going to add, we're going to use our third finger to add in the 5th fret on the second string. And we're kind of going to alternate this. So we're going to have the C5 and then add in that third finger on the second string. It's G to A, if you like to know such things. Now, fingers off, give them a bit of a rest, because remember, these are new things. I had a fantastic discussion with, I know Andrea will know Mr. Ryan Tuck very well, about teaching new chords and teaching ukulele, especially about how you're asking your hands and fingers to do quite unnatural sort of things. So make sure you rest them. Always rest your fingers. Plenty of breathing, plenty of rest. At the moment, we have our extra note. We don't have the shuffle. So let's look at the shuffle. For the shuffle, we're going to do a down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Or if we count it, we'd go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now, how you strum it, it's up to you. This isn't a strumming workshop today. There's lots of different options. You can use your first finger down on your nail and up on the finger pad. You could use your thumb to go down on the thumb pad, up on the nail. You could just use the pads if you don't like using your nails. You could go down on your thumb, up on your finger to do the shuffle. Or if you want a really hard version of it, a hard sounding version, you could go down on your fingernail and up on your thumbnail. Now, I've got to admit, I prefer that because it seems to give a lot of speed to the... if I'm trying to do it, but it doesn't really matter. As long as we've got this 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and. Let's just try that with me. And while we're learning it, we're not worried about this finger hand, the chords. I'm going to kill the strings. I'm going to mute the strings. Let's try that shuffle. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Again, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 there we go. Went through all my different strumming patterns there just for madness. So how does it fit with the actual chords? Well, we're going to make up that half bar and we're going to do that shuffle beat, that 1 and 2, and we're going to change. We're going to put the 1 and we'll have the C5, 2, and we'll have the third finger down in the 5th fret. It's very hard to explain. It's much easier just to do it. 1 and 2. There we go. Easy, isn't it? Just gets itself going. And it kind of just keeps itself going rather nicely. There we are. I forgot to invite you to join in. I hope you're joining in with me. There we go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. Good. Fingers off. Make sure they're nice and relaxed. Now let's look at the next shuffle. The next shuffle will be on the F chord. So let's make that shape. So there's the F. And the added note we need to shuffle, again, is our third finger, but it's going to fall into the 2nd fret. Kind of makes a D minor chord, but it's going to fall into the 2nd fret for that on and off and on and on and off and on and off and on and off. You might find it a little bit of a squash. So I find that when I'm making the F chord, I move that 2nd finger quite a way back in the fret. There's space there. I mean, this is a tenor ukulele, but even on the soprano ukulele, there's plenty of space there in the frets to get your finger in, up, and down. So let's try that. Chord of F, and let's try the F shuffle. Ready? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay? Now, the G shuffle. Now, the G shuffle is a challenge. It's not easy, but it does sound good. It does sound good. So we're going to try it. So first of all, we need a G-shaped chord, not G7, G. And just in case, fly through it quickly. First finger on the 3rd string in the 2nd fret. Your 3rd finger on the 2nd string in the 3rd fret. And your 2nd finger on the 1st string in the 2nd fret. So that's a nice little triangle shape for your chord of G. Now, if you've already got all these fingers occupied with your chord of G, how are you going to shuffle, you're asking me? I know. Not all your fingers are occupied. This little finger over here that probably went to market or did something, I forget which, I'll have to ask my little grandson. This little finger over here, your 4th finger, should never be ignored. It's a real great attribute to your playing. Guitarists, I feel, really ignore it sometimes. And when I'm teaching guitar, my pupils use it nearly from the off, really from the off. And the shuffle is going to use this little finger. And this little finger is going to go onto the C string and it's going to land in the 4th fret. Down, up. Now that is a bit of a tricky one. Try and keep it as round as you can so you don't foul the other strings when it goes down. Let's just try that nice and steadily. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay. Tricky, isn't it? G1. The problem with the G1 is if you've only got to do it for 4 beats, then back to the F1, then back to the C one. So let's just have a little chat about this first of all. We're going to start linking these chords up in the shuffle. So let's start with our first chord, which if you remember was the half bar, with the C half bar and our third finger going into the 5th fret. And we're going to play that for 4 bars and then go to the F shuffle. So let's do that first and we'll try it now. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and C. 2 bars. 3 bars. Get ready. 2, 3, change. F. Shuffle into that 2nd fret. And now we have to go back to the C shuffle. Now, I talked about this on Tuesday. I like this idea. What we're going to do, we're going to try and keep that first finger sticky down there, flatten it, and slide it up to the 3rd fret. Because I think that's a lot easier. Well, I don't think, I know. It's a lot easier than going fingers off, smashing it down somewhere where you might just about be in the 3rd fret. So let's try our F shuffle back to the C shuffle now. F shape, and remember that 3rd finger is going to land in the 2nd fret. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1. Back to the C shuffle now. Here we go. We can stop there for a moment. We'll shorten it a little bit. Let's try that one more time. F shuffle back to the C shuffle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Here we go and C. And we'll just cut that short. Was that easier? Should be easier. That leaving the first finger on the string and just sliding it up. You have to alleviate the pressure. You have to just take your finger off a little bit to slide up. But there we go. Now, getting through the rest of the shuffle. So here's a very tricky bit. We have to get from the C shuffle to the G, to the F, back to the C. So in other words, it's this kind of, it's this bit, where are we? That chord there going on. This is great doing it backwards. To there, to there, to there, to there. Okay? But of course, we're not doing the 7ths. We're just doing the shuffles. So here we go. We're going to do the C shuffle to the G shuffle to the F shuffle back to the C shuffle. Good luck. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. Get ready. Here we go. G shuffle. Good luck. Good. F shuffle. Back to the C shuffle. Cut that short a little bit at the end. Now, the way to start learning this, if this is your first time here and your first time joining the workshop, then perhaps it's quite tricky getting through all these different shuffles. So pick one that you're confident with. And I would suggest it's probably the C and the F. Probably you could do both of those. And really getting from the C one to the F one is probably not too hard because you're quite used to changing from C to a chord of F. But maybe that G one is a bit tricky at the moment. Miss it out. Miss it out today. Join us back in when we get to the F1 in time. Okay? So now what I'd like to do, we're going to run the whole of the shuffle 12-bar blues all the way through. Still quite steady in tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 3, 4. 3, 2, 3, 4. Here's the change. 1, 2, change to F, and one more, change to C, now the G change, here we go, F, back to the C change. And there we go. How was that? Did you manage all the chords? Or did you just manage one or two of the chords? Or even there's no shame in just sticking on that C. That C comes up plenty of times. And if that's something your fingers are just getting used to, go for that. But now we are going to challenge you with a backing track. So it's going to be at a faster tempo. We're going to try and play through it. See if we can keep up with this. Ready? C shuffle. 3, here we go. Here we go. F2, 3, change. Back to C. Here we go. G change. G to F. Back to C. Even with your C7 at the end. So that was a lot of fun. Good. I like that shuffle. I do. Lots and lots of different ways to shuffle. We'll maybe talk about those at the end. Lots and lots. That's just one example, that 5 to 6. And it really is kind of the status quo shuffle that they used to do. Interesting fact about status quo, when they used to do their shuffles, whenever you're teaching guitarists, you always have this hard time trying to learn it where it doesn't really work on a ukulele, I'm afraid. Right down here, to do this sort of shape, to do their shuffle. Status Quo never did that, because apparently Rick Parfitt and the other guy, oh, forget, somebody will leave a comment. The other guy used to do it quite high up the frets, because as you know, the frets narrower the further they get up it, and then it was easier for them to stretch. There you go. Useless bit of tic-tac. Now, our final progression are our runs to link these chords up. So what we're going to do is that we're going to change from the C to the F. That's the first run we're going to learn, the C run. I'm having a quick look at what it says. They call it on the sheet of paper. It's on the second sheet. It's called the C5 run. To do the C5 run, you're going to start off with a C5, but instead of doing a half bar, or even instead of doing the normal 3-2, third finger, second finger fingering, what we're going to do something a little bit more challenging, but you'll see why. We're going to use our fourth finger and our third finger to make that C5, because we're going to run down the E string. Francis Rossi. Thank you so much, Roger. So Francis Rossi, yes, little fingers. We're going to use our fingers to run down the E string. Third finger, back to the second finger on the E string, back to the first finger, back to the open string. And that's our first run to connect our C to our F chord. So let's try that. C5, nicely set up with your little finger. That 3, back to 2, back to 1, open string. Okay? Not too bad. Again, with all these things, the trickiness is getting there. So let's do a little bit of work on that, shall we? Shuffle on the C5 chord, your half bar. This is what we're going to do. I'll show you first. We're going to do 1 bar of the shuffle, then change our chord. If you notice, we're still going to shuffle down that run. We don't always have to, and at the end, we're going to change it. But for the moment, we're going to shuffle down that run as well. Why don't you try it with me? C5, half bar. Let's do the shuffle. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 3, 4. Run. Yeah, that was about as clear as mud, wasn't it? Let's try that again. I'll try and catch you better at that one. I didn't count that very well. Sorry about that. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and change it. Run. There we go. Let's try that one more time. Now we've got the hang and counting it. So the C5, half bar. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. Change it, run. And then we're down to our F chord. All right. Now, we're going to do the F run now. And there is a run to link back from the F chord to the C shuffle. And to do that, we're going to use our third finger here. So it starts off, chord of F, Then our third finger down in the second space where it was for the shuffle. Push it forward. And then use your little finger to come into the 4th fret. And that's our F run. Let's just go over that again. Hopefully you're playing along with me. Do dive in. Chord of F. Drop your third finger onto the 2nd string. Push it forward into the 3rd fret. 4th finger into the 4th fret. So we have that. Okay? All right, so let's try that. We're going to go from the F run back to the C shuffle. F run, back to the C shuffle. And we'll go straight on the F run. Ready? 1 and 2 and 3 and run. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Okay, let's try that one more time. F run, back to the C shuffle. There's the F, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4 and... Okay. Now you'd be glad to know that there's no G run. I thought I don't think we want to do anything fancy like that. We're going to get from the G to the F, just as we did the F back to the C on the last line. We're going to just go and change it because we're getting ready for the big ending. Now, the big ending is the C5, the 2 C5 runs. On the sheet, they are the 2 ones at the bottom here. It's a C5 run 1 and run 2. Now, run 1 is exactly the same as we've just learned. Running down the E string. But then we're going to keep our 4th finger in place. We're going to go onto the C string. And we're going to just go 3, 2, 1 on the C string. But we're going to try and do something clever with the playing of it. We're going to triplicate the first run. In other words, we're going to play it in 3s. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So let's try that. I'm not doing anything fancier than going up and down with the strumming. We could do that triplicate, that triplet strum there. We're not. Okay, let's try it. You know, it's going to happen again. If you're here on Tuesday, the doorbell rang and I had to go and answer the door. The doorbell's going to ring in a minute. I wonder if anybody in the house will think to answer the door. Let's find out live. Okay, let's try the downward C run in triplets. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. How was that? Fancy doorbell. I like that doorbell. The doorbell's good. Again, it's killing, isn't it, whether anybody's going to answer the door. And we're going to have to go, no, somebody's answered the door. Well done. Thank you, Abby. Have a go. Okay. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Let's try it. Third finger, please. Ready? 1, 2. Off we go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And to finish, we're going to go onto the C string and we're going to play those in quavers. Or just in straight strums. Down that C string. So we've put it all together. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's how it's going to work. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. It's a big finish, a big ending. Right, fingers off, hands off. Make sure they're okay. I can feel I've got nice big grooves in my fingers, even through the calluses. So my fingers obviously need a rest. I'm sure yours do. Okay, so here's where we breathe deep, and this is where we put it together. This is nearly our finale, our end of our live stream this morning, where we're going to put the shuffles and the runs together, connect the whole thing up together in a very extravagant 12-bar blues plus. So first of all, as always, let's have a little chat through it. We're going to do the shuffle on the C shuffle to start off with. Those 4-bar. Oh, hang on, I've got a graphic. Just a minute. Just a cotton picking. Where are we? Here we go. No. Keep going. On the website. I'm actually scrolling through the lesson that's already on the website. So if you go and use the link, there we go. I know it's not easy to see from here, but on each of these, after the letters, it tells you whether or not you're going to shuffle, or when it gets to the end, it does say run, C5 run. So it tells you on the website lesson where you do all this stuff. So let's have a go. First of all, we're going to do our C5 shuffle. There, C shuffle, C shuffle, 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 shuffle. Then the run, C5 run. The F shuffle. Then the F run. Back to the C5 shuffle. Now we're going to just jump to that G shuffle. Jump to the F shuffle. And then we're going to straight away do our big finish. The C5 runs 1 and 2. The 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, bam, bam, bam. Okay, so we don't have to go up back to the half bar. We're going to go straight into our end run. Okay, right. Let's have a go through it. And remember, as always, you can always revisit this and play along a second time, nice and slowly with it if you want to. It takes a few minutes for YouTube to actually save it onto the site, but then you can go back to it. Half bar, let's start this shuffle off, the whole lot. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. 2. Second bar. 3. All right, here's the run. Ready? Change position. F shuffle. That's it. Run. C shuffle. G shuffle. F shuffle. C run. A big run to finish. Okay, did you keep up with that? I'm sure you did. Let's have one more to go through slowly, and then we'll bang it on with the backing track right up to tempo. Here we go. One more. C shuffle, nice and steady like we've been doing. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Run. F shuffle. Run. C shuffle. G shuffle. F shuffle. C ending. And maybe a sneaky C7. All right. So let's just run it with the backing track, okay? Because time is getting on. Let's see if we can go through it all with a backing track, bit more of a tempo. And again, as always, this time, do what you can. Do the C shuffle. You might be able to do the C shuffle and all the runs. It might be another time, might take a little bit more practice. Because remember, all instruments need practice. Nothing just happens. Let's do it with a backing track. Good luck. Half bar. Here we go. Shuffle. Run. F. Run. C shuffle. G. C run. I'm smiling sheepishly. I know that is quite a challenge. That really is. At the start, we said there's lots and lots of different ways to run, but I like this way of learning it because it's the basis. And you can add your fourth finger in. You can change the strum pattern. And again, perhaps I haven't tried it very much. I haven't tried it, but you can actually translate this into other keys. If you want to do 12-bar blues in other keys, remember, you only need chord 1, 4, and 5 in the key that you want to choose. So if you want to do it in G, for instance, guitarists like playing in G, you're going to need a chord of G, C, and D. Okay, and you're going to have to, you already know how to shuffle G, you know how to shuffle C. I've already done that. Shuffling D is a little bit trickier, and not like that. You have to reach all the way over. Or if you're going to do a clever way of actually barring onto the A string. They've all got their little idiosyncrasies and they've all got the little bits of problems. But for today, I think we've done very well working through those 12-bar blues in C. And it just sounds good. Remember, check it out on the website. You can take your time with this on the website if you want to. Next week, we're back to Tuesdays and Fridays live streaming next week. And next week is a brand new workshop. Again, it's a little bit more advanced, but it's one I get asked for all the time. And it's going to be an introduction to fingerpicking. Because as well as strumming ukuleles, everybody always wants to know how to fingerpick. So in that piece, I'm going to show you the very traditional classical method of fingerpicking. We're going to move away from that. We're going to learn one of the pieces off the website called Inside Outside. And we're going to finish up trying to fingerpick our way through Knocking on Heaven's Door, which will need you to know a few chords. You're going to need to know G, D, and A minor, and C for Knocking on Heaven's Door. And we're going to have a go there at fingerpicking through that. So I hope you enjoyed that today. Whether you're watching, playing, or listening, thank you for joining us, and I hope to see you next week when we're looking at fingerpicking. And thank you for your comments, Roger. Thank you, nice Andrea, for your dropping in. I really appreciate it. Have a good day, everybody. I am now off to edit a podcast, which is going to take me a few hours. So look out for that on the website or the Facebook group. All the links, everything you need are available through the website at UkuleleRocks.co.uk. Click on it. All the medias are there, and you'll be able to join the Facebook group and keep up to date with everything going on. So have a great, what day is it today? Friday. Have a great Friday today, and I'll see you next week. Take care. Ta-ra.